All right. Welcome to Loop City. I am your host, Mike Steels. We at Loop City are a group of five guys that love hoops, entertainment, and video games. The entire squad is here. Gonzo, Coach Matt, Pistol Pete Toll, and Rad Remm will join us later on for his rant. So we're recapping basically week 2 of the NBA playoffs. And there's no better way to start it than to talk about the debacle that is the Brooklyn Nets and how they are now trailing the Celtics 3-0. Honestly, I'm going to open it up to whoever wants this, and I'm just ask this question. Who's to blame for the Nets' woes?
I guess I'll go first.
Oh, you got it.
Or Matt can go.
You go. All right. I think there's plenty of blame to go around. Obviously, KD has not been his usual self. I think part of it is I think we've discussed it. Ime Udoka being a coach of the Celtics, he was with the Nets last year as an assistant, and so he probably knows a little bit of the tendencies, because you see where they're stripping KD at. It's almost like they know it's coming, exactly what he's going to do. The shooting has not been great. Obviously, Kyrie goes nuclear in game 1, but he really hasn't done much the last 2 games. You can blame some of the coaching with Steve Nash. He can take some of the blame. Yes, injuries. You don't have Joe Harris there who would help us give him another outside shooter. And they don't have any kind of interior presence. The only real, sometimes it can be Claxton. And then, if KD's playing the good defense like he did against the Cavs in the play-in, where he's really protecting the rim well. It's really bad right now. There's no cohesion with the team, and they want interior presence, and they put Blake Griffin in the game, and what does he do? Shoot threes. He's not getting buckets down low anymore. He's just, the legs aren't there, all the injuries. It's bad. That's all I have to say. It's bad.
Blake Griffin in the 8 minutes that he played, though, gave more of a spark than Drummond has all series.
True. No, that's true.
Andre Drummond has stone hands. He doesn't defend. He's timid. He's timid rebounding the ball. He acts like he's sitting there tipping the ball out. I'm like, dude, why are you tipping the ball out? You're supposed to be one of the best rebounders in NBA history as far as, like, if you look at the stats on paper, season to season when he started, and he's out there tipping the ball back. Steve Nash, I don't know what's more fraudulent, his 2 MVPs or his coaching career.
Elaborate on that.
I mean, at the end of the day, he makes no adjustments. He had Ime Udoka and Mike D'Antoni as assistants last year. D'Antoni is one of the most pivotal offensive coaches in NBA history as far as him changing the game, the pace, everything like that. And originally, Sean Marks wanted D'Antoni to coach the team. He declined because I guess of health reasons, whatever, as far as being the head coach. So I guess that's how Steve Nash, along with Kevin Durant, kind of vouching for him because of his time in Golden State as a development coach, that got Steve Nash the job. He's made no adjustments on the defensive side of the ball whatsoever to stop Tatum or Jaylen Brown. Hell, even Marcus Smart is able to go off. And Marcus Smart doesn't shoot the ball that well. And he's looking good out there. Then on the offensive side of the ball, I mean, come on. Yes, KD has looked mentally exhausted in this series. But when you're double and triple teamed, what are you supposed to do? And if you're Kyrie Irving, you're supposed to be this electrifying point guard that's supposed to be one of the greatest of all times. People are saying, he should be on the top 75 list and all that stuff. No, dude, you got flashy handles with no other accolades except a game winner for Cleveland that you were side by side with one of the greatest of all time in LeBron James. You didn't win in Cleveland before he got there. You didn't win in Boston with a team that was supposed to be really good. You sat there and cried and blame everybody else in all 3 cities that you've been in. It's excuse after excuse. It's like, dude, if you want to do, things on the side as far as, be a humanitarian, that's great. But right now, all you're doing is fleecing franchises for these contracts for you to have 1 foot in, 1 foot out. And that's not, going to cut it. And Kevin Durant finally sees the mistake he made by following, Kyrie Irving's decision to go there. Because originally, if you remember, he was looking at New York, and Kyrie didn't want to go there.
Yeah.
And it turned things around. So if you're Brooklyn and you're looking at the way that the offense is set up, why would you not have different schemes in place if you're Steve Nash? You're just out there going through the motions. It's like you're wanting to get fired. It's like, dude, give back those MVPs and go ahead and just say, Shaq, I'm sorry. You should have had you should have been the MVP. I shouldn't have taken this. You stole the MVPs and now you're stealing, what would be the tail end of KD's career where he's supposed to get another championship and you're falling short there. So he will not be the coach next season. I can guarantee you that.
Wow. Pete just went in. Gonzo, what you got the back door on that? Because that's a smackdown.
I'm gonna be honest with you. It's a few things, and I'm gonna try not to be long here. First of all, Steve Nash coaching is terrible. He has no defensive. Nothing about him says defense in his team, his coaching style. But what do you expect him to get it from? He came from under D'Antoni. He never played defense. How is he going to teach it? It's not in him to do that. KD, on the other hand, I understand he's getting double teamed, and I think that's really the problem. Jason Tatum is defending him well. Jaylen Brown is defending him well on switches. Al Horford, he's helping. I think the problem in this whole thing is also, too, we have to give a little credit to the Celtics. KD's getting doubled a lot, but where he's going to pass the ball to, Celtics have active hands. They're getting in there, knocking the ball free, going on fast breaks, getting easy layups and dunks. Al Horford is a mismatch for Andre Drummond. He's a little quicker than Andre Drummond. It's almost like Andre Drummond has like cement bricks on his feet. He's kind of slow. Same thing Pete says. He's tipping the ball. The dude tipping the ball out. You should be grabbing that ball with two hands. There's no reason you're tipping the ball out. At this point, I'd rather have Nick Claxton in the game because he's playing better than Drummond. Yes, Blake Griffin does shoot threes, but let's be honest about something with Blake Griffin. He brought a spark in that little bit of time that he played. I'd much rather have him shooting threes, bringing a spark and putting a charge into the offense, at least getting them, giving them a little push and a little go. Kyrie Irving, I understand your stance on the vaccine. You didn't want to take it because you didn't trust it. I mean, heck, I didn't even trust it, but I still took it. But at the same token, too, there's no excuse for you, buddy. You getting paid the type of money you're getting paid. You begged your way out of Cleveland. You got yourself out of Boston. You pretty much persuade KD from going to the Knicks. You wanted to go to Brooklyn because I guess it was closer to home, which were you from New Jersey, I think. So you pretty much got everything to go your way. And for you not to perform, I don't want to hear anything from Kyrie Irving. I don't care about you fast and anything else. That's personal. Your job is to play basketball. Play basketball at this point. I get it. I understand your personal beliefs. But right now, you're not performing. And I think the problem is, too, is that the Nets, when they made these trades, Ben Simmons not being here, they don't have the defenders that they need. Steph Curry is too small. You don't have Joe Harris, a three-point shooter. Patty Mills is a great three-point shooter, but he's too small. You guys didn't get the defense you need, and the defense that you need isn't playing right now. So
and your bigs are
just
nowhere to be found.
And they can't guard Al Horford. You can't guard Daniel Tice. You can't. These guys can move without the ball. Not only that, these guys can shoot the three and kind of put the ball on the floor a little bit. I mean, just enough to get past the bigs that the Nets have. So right now, the Nets are toast. They might as well just put their head between their knees and kiss their butts goodbye because it's over.
Yeah, it's pretty much over. Like, to piggyback on what you all said, it's simple. We know what Kyrie is capable when he shows up. But the thing is, he has proven that he does not show up. He has proven that basketball is not his main thing. And that's fine. But if you're getting paid to play basketball and people are dependent on you to be there, like, I was thinking about this the other night. Like, forget about the fans who pay your salary by buying your jerseys, showing up to the games, and forget about the TV deal that pays the NBA billions that makes your salary possible. Let's talk about you not showing up for your teammates. You not showing up for Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant signed with Brooklyn 3 years ago thinking it was going to be me and Kyrie, and we was going to have some players around us, and we would build something. And in 3 years at Brooklyn, before the vaccine mandate, Kyrie has not played full seasons in any of the 3 seasons. In fact, I saw this stat. In 11 years in the NBA, he's played over 60 games 4 times. And, like, That's not going to cut it. And he makes those comments yesterday talking about, oh, well, Boston has continuity. They've really been gelling since January 1st. Guess what was going on all season with Boston? They had their core guys there all year. Jason, Jalen, and Marcus Smart were there all year. Guess what the Brooklyn didn't have? Guess what the Nets didn't have? They didn't have Kyrie until halfway through the season, and even then he was part-time. So, yeah, and Gonzo, I see the stat, 47% of the regular season games in his career. Like, dude is going to be a free agent this summer. Nobody's giving him more than a 2-year deal. And if they do give him a 2-year deal, it's probably going to be a team option for the second year. And I don't blame him. Like, in any other line of work, you don't show up to work. That's a no call, no show. You know what I'm saying? You get taken off the schedule, you get fired, you're in with human resources. So, look, Kyrie, if you want to win, show up to practice, show up all year, show up from the beginning of the jump. But I agree, Steve Nash ain't going to be there next year. And if he keep playing, Kyrie might not be there next year, expected to make $47 million in 1 year. Nah, man. With that said, let's go to some.
Real quick. Don't forget, Ben Simmons, they ruled him out for Game 4 after saying that he's going to come back. I find it kind of odd. All of a sudden, it's an elimination game now. Ben Simmons isn't going to play. He knows that team, the chemistry in that locker room, he's not going to embarrass himself. Because Boston's going to put him on the free throw line. They're going to make sure that, he's in the limelight. He can't get around it. And Ben Simmons doesn't want that attention. Just all the way around, Sean Marks in that front office has a lot of decisions to make.
Absolutely.
This offseason.
Absolutely. They have the two weirdest guys, the two biggest enigmas currently in the NBA on the same team. Like, you traded for Ben Simmons. And I said this to Matt. I was like, Matt, Ben Simmons is not playing a single game this year. And he was like, Mike, he might come back, da-da-da. I'm like, he's not playing a game this year. And now he has the perfect excuse. And for guys who don't show up to play, I can't really root for him like that. I mean, when we have a game like the Grizzlies-Wolves last night where everybody showed up, even Karl Anthony Towns, who we have much criticism to say. We have much things to dissect about him. But, the Wolves' response was very good. They didn't blow the lead like they blew it in Game 3. But I want to ask you guys, who has the momentum in this series? Go ahead, Gonzo. You look like you got something to say. I see it in your face.
I'm still betting on Memphis, man. For Karl Anthony Towns to have a game the way he did, for Anthony Edwards showing up, and they only won by 1 point last night. It went pretty much down to the wire. I'm not impressed with Karl Anthony Towns at all. He got most of his points from the free throw line. He's not destroying his team like he should. But a lot of credit to Anthony Edwards because he's playing like a pro who's played in the playoffs before. He's at least trying, so I have to respect that out of him. John Morant, I understand the way the defense now is kind of set up to kind of stop him, but the other players are stepping up. They really have a real good chance to win these next 2 games. I'm not impressed with Karl Anthony Towns at all. And honestly, to me, Karl Anthony Towns, and I said this the other day, to me, Karl Anthony Towns is Karl Anthony Clowns. The guy, he showed up today. He probably won't show up next game. And then he'll show up in Game 6. Then he probably won't show up in Game 7. I don't see that dog in him. I think what Jimmy Butler was talking about when he was there, I think he kind of gave us a glimpse into who Karl Anthony Towns is. This is who he is. I think he's soft. I don't think he's made for postseason. He's a regular season player. He definitely ain't ready for the postseason. No.
Pete, what did you see in the game last night that tells you which way it's going? Like, we think it's going 7. Are we all in agreement it's going 7? Like, who do you see has the momentum, or what do you see is going to happen in Game 5?
I still think it's going to be Memphis. If you can get offensive production out of Jaren Jackson Jr. and he can stay out of foul trouble, it'll be fine. John Morant forced things a little bit, I thought. Obviously, the 15 assists were great, but as far as shooting the ball, just finding his spots and rhythm, didn't look the greatest. But at the same time, that's not going to happen every single game. Because on Minnesota's side, you still have D'Angelo Russell who's struggling. So you could pretty much count on that. He's like a no-show all the time. And then you add in, like Gonzo said, with Karl-Anthony Towns kind of being up and down. He picks and chooses when he wants to have moments. The only thing going for Minnesota is Anthony Edwards has just been electrifying. That confidence is never going to waver for Anthony Edwards. And I feel like it's Minnesota or Memphis's to take because I think Matt and I both agree we're both high on Desmond Bane. If he keeps having games like this, the sky's the limit for Memphis moving forward. I would like to see them get a little bit more. I know Brandon Clark has had a good series, but a little bit more out of the bench unit. I thought D'Anthony Melton should play a little bit more for defensive purposes over Zaire Williams, even though Zaire is the more athletic player. But Tyus Jones has to be a little bit more of a game manager in the minutes that John Morant is not playing, just to effectively get guys in the right spots. But I'm not worried about it. I don't know. I'm going to go out on a limb and stick with my earlier prediction that Memphis ends up getting the series. They're going to win the next two and take the series. I think Minnesota showed all that they have so far.
Yeah, Matty boy, what are you thinking over there, Coach Matt? Like, what did you see? And actually, how did you feel when you saw Ant-Man walk into the locker room and then sprint out of there like Paul Pierce?
I was like, yes, fine. When he went down, I'm like, oh, here we go again. Another good player's going down. When he came back out, I was like, yes, nothing major, just a bump knee, whatever it was. He was good to go. I got to piggyback off of what Pete said. Man, Desmond Bane. And it's sad all those teams passed up on him. He was the 30th pick in the draft in 2020, a year ago's draft, since he's his second year. He can get to the rim. He's big. He's got that size. Him, and he talked about it on JJ Redick's pod when he was when he was on there. He defends, so he's just been spectacular. I think it was game 2 they did. Was it game 2 they made the adjustment putting Brandon Clark in over Steven Adams? Was it game 2? I think it was. Yeah, beautiful, outstanding decision there by Memphis to do that, just because Towns is just a bad matchup for Steven Adams.
Mm-hmm. And props to Steven Adams for being a professional like Steph and just like, hey, we need to do this to win. This is for the team. It's not about me.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. He's just a team guy. I mean, I remember he was on the JJ Redick pod about a year and a half ago when they were both on the Pelicans together. Just when you listen to that, like, you can tell he's the type of dude. He doesn't give a damn. He's just going to do what's right for the team. He's not going to complain. He's just going to do his job. For a guy, when he's talking about when he was in college, he was like, man, I wasn't really that good. And he's like, now I'm going to be an NBA player. So, yeah. I want to see more of D'Angelo Russell. I want to see him really, because he's just like Cat. He's been very inconsistent in these games, and I think he's got to become consistent. I'm with Pete on Jaren Jackson. Really, the thing with him is just, can you stay on the floor, and is the shot going to fall? And even if the shot's not falling, he's still going to be effective if he can stay out of foul trouble because of what he can do defensively. You can when you have Clark and him out there, they can switch everything. You can almost switch everything out there. And with when you have Adams out there, you can't really do that because Adams, we know he does not move the best laterally. His lateral quickness is kind of lacking.
So who you got, Matt? Who you got in this series? You still sticking with the original?
I think I did overall pick Memphis. Maybe I picked Minnesota. I can't even remember. That was a couple weeks ago. But it's been so crazy. I think whoever wins the next game. I think whoever wins game 5 wins that series.
I think we see a Grindhouse rocking during the next game. I think we see, I bet you Tony Allen and Zebo show up and they're out there waving the towels, and who knows? if Mike Conley wasn't in a series, he might show up. But I think we can really go to another series, which is basically in the same spot right now with Mavs Jazz. Like, first of all, I want to ask you, Matt, because you're a huge Luka fan, so I'm gonna stay with you real quick. How did you think Luka looked in Game 4, and what did you think about that last play down the stretch?
Well, I think offensively he looked fine. You could tell he was just a step slow defensively. You could tell that it was probably bothering him just a little bit. Offensively, he was fine, but it's not going to affect him as much offensively because he's not a guy who he's not a guy whose game is based on athleticism. And then on that last play, I think that was kind of the idea because it worked. Remember against Boston, they basically did the same thing against Boston. Dinwiddie hit the shot in that game. He didn't hit the shot in this one.
Yeah, they did it against Brooklyn, and I think like back-to-back games. So it's a good.
At the end of the day, Dwight Powell makes one of those free throws. Hell, they probably win the game.
Yeah.
Because at that point, I think Utah probably goes for a 3 at that point if they're down 2. So if he makes 1, they're up 2, and I think Utah probably, knowing them, they go for a 3, and if they miss, that's the ball game. But it's still good to have Luka back. One thing I did not like down the stretch. The last 4 or 5 minutes of the game, too much ball pounding by Luka. 3-4 seconds left on the clock. He either has to pass it out, someone has to jack a shot, or he's taking a tough step back. And just more ball movement. That's what. Just get rid of it quicker. And Brunson started to cook. Get the ball back to Brunson a little bit.
Yeah, Brunson's been cooking them this series, and I'm surprised they didn't let him keep the ball and use Luka as a decoy on that last play. But I want to go to Gonzo because I want to ask you: is this hope or hoax for the Jazz tying the series up? Like, if you're looking at the Jazz right now, what are you thinking right now? They got lucky, or this was supposed to happen?
They got lucky because there's no way you trust Rudy Gobert winning the game. I mean,
Rudy Gogurt is your nickname for him. Rudy Gogurt.
Yeah, I don't trust him winning the game. But I do think Luka coming back, it kind of took the team kind of out of a rhythm because I think they were starting to jail after those first 2 games. The ball was being spread around. You saw Kleber getting points. You saw Dinwiddie scoring. You saw Jalen Brunson scoring. You see a lot of different people scoring in places that you wouldn't usually expect when Luka's there. And I think by Luka being back yesterday, I think that kind of like hindered the team as a whole just a little bit. I think that in this series, they really only need Luka as kind of a decoy. I don't need him to score 30. I don't need him to average 30, 10, and 8 or 30, 10. I don't need him to do that. I just need him to score 20 points and just kind of keep the ball moving and just kind of help him space the floor with the other guys on the team that can play because this series is really Jalen Brunson's series. He has been smoking.
Oh, yes.
He has been smoking like barbecue brisket. I'm talking about this guy. This dude has been killing. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think somebody's been saying, I think I heard somebody say the other day that he has a contract year coming up soon or something like that.
Yeah, he's
about to get paid. He's got to get paid because he's showing he can play. He's even off the bench, he was good. He's came in as a starter and has excelled. His points excelled. His field goal percentage went up. Like, this guy is legit. And I think part of it comes from and not only does he come from a father who played in the NBA, so he got a lot of help there, but also too, staying in college and playing multiple years has helped him. Now he's under, he was coached under Rick Carlisle. Now Jason Kidd, he's playing with the right system. I think this guy deserves it. He's a very good player. I like Jalen Brunson. This is his series, and still Mavs. I think the Mavs are 6. I don't think the Jazz won another game.
Yeah, I think
I could be wrong.
You could be wrong, but that was kind of like they stole that game. They were down 4 with 30 seconds to go. We were in the group chat like all they got to do is get a stop on Dallas has to get a stop and it's over with. Pete, I'm gonna go to you because I want to know what you saw in that game and what do you think is going to happen in Game 5? Like, what can Utah take from this? But more importantly, what do you think is going to happen in Game 5? Is this just going to be a game we forget about in the annals of history?
I think with Game 5, Dallas has to realize, and Lucas saw it when he was on the bench with the run of Jalen Brunson. It's like Luka has to know, all right, I can trust somebody and play off the ball a little bit pick my spots a little bit better because, as Matt said, with the over dribbling of Doncic, that's where I kind of had a little bit of trouble with it late in games because Brunson's hot. The final play, Brunson could have drove into the chest of the defense and then kicked it out. You've got Dinwiddie on the perimeter in the playoffs right now. He's shooting 18% from three. Yes, he shot 40% during the regular season, but he struggled right now. You could have collapsed the defense if you're Jalen Brunson and made a play for somebody else and got a little bit better of a look, in my opinion, or even drove in and tried to get a pull up. It might have been contested, but I would have felt like that was a better shot than kind of what they got at the end because Luka waited so long. And it's almost like he was like, oh, man, I'm not going to be able to be quick enough to get by this guy. Let me go ahead and pass this. Oh, there's Dinwiddie. And he like panicked at the last minute. But more so, kids, this is why you practice your free throws. Dwight Powell should have hit one of those.
Yes.
Like, there's no excuse for that. To miss both of them, like that tight in a game. I mean, come on. And you could tell, like, the broadcast crew was wanting to kind of get away from the controversy with Gobert and Mitchell of like, oh, Mitchell never passes to him because they're like, oh, man, look at that pass to Gobert. It's the game.
Yeah.
And it's like,
it was too much. Yeah, that was
it's
too
like,
much.
come on. You're trying to create this narrative of nothing. Like, at the end of the day, like, the Jazz, I just feel like they're going to lose the series. I do still stick by my original prediction for the series started. It's going to go 7 games, only for the fact that Dallas takes too many plays off when they can put their foot on their neck. They decide to let their foot off the gas, and they let the Jazz back in it. And with Donovan Mitchell, I'm going to give him all the credit in the world because that dude wills the Jazz to wins. And Bogdanovich has been hitting timely shots when he's supposed to. And you know, O'Neal's out there with some, you know, a little bit dirty plays here and there, some jabs, some undercuts on screens and things like that to kind of get things physical.
And actually, I wanted to ask that because I missed it. I looked away on the last play actually before the Jazz came out of the huddle. The announcer said something about Royce O'Neal on the bench. What happened in there? Was there something on the bench where he was mad with the play call or he was beefing with somebody? What happened in that?
He just got extra like pissed off for whatever reason. It was like extra animated. And I don't know exactly because when it didn't exactly pan over like to a close enough view, but just he was heated about something. I don't know if it was a call or what's happening, what exactly happened. But I do know like when they kind of flashed in bits and pieces, he was animated about something. So I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, the broadcast team, they were saying that Royce O'Neal was voicing something about here we go again, same old ish. You know, we have a late game collapse kind of thing. So that's kind of something. I think what you said is correct. The broadcast team tried to point out, oh, look at Mitchell passing to Gobert. Look at their harmony and whatnot. It's like, look, we know these guys don't like each other. We know. Win or lose, this team is going to be blown up in some way. It's not going to look like it is, at least. It may not be completely blown up, but some pieces will be moved. So with that said, I'm just going to be brief right now. This is a segment I call the Sweepstakes, and I'm just going to run down the other series going on because we're not going to comment on them. They're almost over. I mean, the Warriors almost swept the Nuggets today. The Nuggets got a good win at home. Came through in the clutch. Draymond fouled out. Warriors up 3-1. Sixers are up 3-1 over the Raptors right now. Joel Embiid has ligament damage in his thumb, I believe, and he will play and will wait until the end of the season to have surgery. And then also the Heat Raptors just concluded. It's currently 6:45 p.m. Pacific time, and the Heat blew out the Hawks and are now up 3-1. So that's probably going to be a gentleman's sweep. But one last thing I wanted to bring up is injuries. We want to talk about the unfortunate side of the game. And I want to go, Pete, while I got you, I want you to just talk about Booker's injury with the Suns, Middleton with the Bucks, and what that does not only to the team's fortune, but how deep can they go with without him in the meantime, without Booker and the Bucks, without Middleton?
I think with Phoenix first, without Booker, they'll get by the Pelicans. Yes, the Pelicans have played with heart. I have to admit, Brandon Ingram has looked good. I'm not the biggest Ingram fan, but for Phoenix, they have enough depth on their team, and they have, to me, one of the greatest point guards of all time in Chris Paul. As long as he stays healthy, you got a resurging and reemerging DeAndre Ayton. You've got pieces, on the team as far as like Cam Johnson being able to shoot the ball, Mikal Bridges, who I thought deserved more consideration for Defensive Player of the Year than he did. Even though he was up there with, in the award, but I think they'll be okay because round 2, you potentially get Dallas or Utah. If they get Utah, it's a wrap for Utah. I think that's a sweep. Dallas, it's going to be more competitive. I think they match up better. But I think at that point, probably by game 1, if not by game 2, maybe Booker can be back, because I know they put an estimated time frame of like 2 weeks or so with Booker, but I think with enough rehab and that medical staff, he'll be back a little bit quicker. On the other side of things with Middleton, that I worry about, because you're going to play Boston, and defensively, how Boston's been playing and just gelling, it's going to be tough because they're going to lock in on Giannis, and they have a lot of guys that could take fouls on Giannis and kind of get, lengthwise get Giannis out of his easy comfort zone, or you could play the other side of it, let Giannis get his, and let's focus on the other guys. And so they just match up better. I don't think Milwaukee has enough scoring punch against Boston team without Middleton. So that's going to be definitely a series that could go 7 games or less in Boston's favor.
Yeah. So Gonzo, we saw the game earlier today. The Bucks, I didn't mention it because part of me is still a deep downside Bulls fan, and I didn't want to admit to myself that the Bulls got embarrassed and the Bucks beat them as if they owed them money. I want to ask, seeing what the Bucks did without Middleton, and obviously to piggyback what Pete said, the Celtics are a different animal defensively. What do you think about Milwaukee, next round with Boston? Because we're starting to look forward. These series are pretty much over.
I think the Milwaukee and Boston series is going to be pretty difficult, and I'm kind of agreeing with Pete on this. I think it's going to be pretty difficult for them to win without Middleton. But even if Middleton is healthy, and I changed my mind after watching that game last night with Boston. Everybody keeps talking about the Warriors. Everybody keeps talking about Phoenix. We keep talking about Miami. What we're seeing is the maturity of Jaylen Brown and Tatum and Marcus Smart. We're seeing them develop and turn into mature basketball players. This could very well be our NBA champions.
Yes.
They have a punch right now. The way they're locking up on defense, they're swarming deep. They're quick laterally. They're long. They're fast. They're young. The condition is up. Even Al Horford. Let's look. Even at his age now in NBA, Al Horford's conditioning is still in very, very great shape. He's still in very, very great shape. Daniel Tice is in great shape. They went and got Derek White, who could easily average 15 points on another team, but he's a good rotation player. Pritchard, good rotation player, can shoot the ball. They have a lot of key pieces right now that fit real well with this team. People forget Ime Udoka. I think he knows. He came from the Nets, so he knows their scheme. But also too, he was a Popovich player, so he has a little bit of pop in him too. And it just goes to show you how great of a coach Popovich is, because he affects so many players. He affects guys who goes into coaching. He affects guys playing. Just look at DeRozan for a minute. DeRozan, his entire career, he played shooting guard. Last year with San Antonio, he played 62 games, I think, at power forward. He didn't score the numbers that he traditionally would score, 23 plus points a game, but he became a much better basketball player.
Yes.
That's what you saw this year with Chicago. So the Celtics, man, right now, that's my favorite to possibly win the NBA championship if they can hold fast with this defense.
Yeah. Matty, Coach Matty, I'm gonna ask you, man. Like right now, again, this is going on 6:50 Pacific time. Suns Pelicans game 4 just tipped. Suns are up 2-1, going for the 3-1 stranglehold. Matt, what are you thinking about Phoenix out west? What they can do, looking forward, because they're going to play the winner of Dallas, Utah, and a lot of us have Dallas. We prefer Dallas because that's
Absolutely we do.
But what do you think the Suns can do? And have we seen this before in recent history?
What I think it's going to be interesting. How is Booker going to be back game 1, game 2, game 3? You just don't know with injuries and stuff. Let's say he's out the first 2 games. Dallas better get those 2.
Yeah,
they better get those first 2, and they can win on the road. They've proven they're a pretty good road team. So I'm not worried about them on the road. But with Phoenix, they have all these, just a treasure chest of riches. Booker goes down, and you can just insert Cam Johnson into the starting lineup. 6'9", 6'8", 6'9", can shoot the ball, can defend, makes plays, and he'll catch a body every now and then.
Mm-hmm.
And you got Landry Shamet, who's catching bodies now almost every game, can shoot the ball, play a little bit in the pick and roll. And DeAndre Ayton showing just what a bag he has offensively. And we know he's great defensively. It's why I keep saying DeAndre Ayton's one of the best 5 big men in the league. But when you watch it, you don't get to see the full repertoire that he has because of how loaded they are. And then obviously Bridges, Jay Crowder's going to get in there and make threes and muck things up. They're supremely well coached too.
Yeah.
So that I do like. But I have to touch on the Bucks real quick. If Grayson Allen is going to continue to be this offensive juggernaut, I don't know. Maybe Milwaukee's got a chance, but I have to ask you this, Pete and Gons. Do you expect him to continue this offensive tear that he's been on?
No.
I mean, in fairness,
or not against if they go round 2, he's not going to get the same wide open looks. It's not going to happen. Like, there's a big difference between Chicago not having Lonzo Ball defensively and throwing Kobe White out there for minutes on the defensive end, and versus having to play a Boston team that's going to suffocate you the entire time. Those aren't going to be clean looks. So no, I don't expect Grayson Allen. It's good right now because it's like kind of going into the villain, what do you call it? Basically his alter ego of basically nobody likes him. He's a villain, and it's playing into that. But outside of that, no, it's not going to keep up against Boston.
Yeah, I'm sure that was very cathartic for him going off like that in Chicago when he essentially derailed Caruso's season with that flagrant foul, and the Bulls let that guy kill them today. Like, look, if we have a guy on the other team that we don't like, he's not beating us. Anybody but him can beat us, and it's not going to be Grayson Allen. And yeah, that's all I got to say about that.
He did it 2 games in a row.
Yeah, he has been shooting well, but again, like Pete said, that's the difference between not having Lonzo, Caruso going out, and having Kobe White guard him, who is questionable as a defender at best, and that's really being polite. With that said, it's time to bring in our 5th member of the squad, our boy Rad Remm, for this week's rant. So the floor is yours, Rad.
Okay, so usually I come on here and I talk about sneakers, and I do have some sneaker reviews, some info, but first, you're gonna get Rad's rant. What is the mess that has become of the Brooklyn Nets? It's hard. Listen, do you know how much family I got in Brooklyn? Do you know how much pride New Yorkers have for their borough? This is a catastrophe. Who is to blame? Is it Kyrie? Is it Kevin? Is it James? James Harden took a lot of criticism for getting out of there. But I'm beginning to think that he knew something that we did not know. He knew this was not going to work. Can I blame Kyrie Irving for not wanting to take the vaccine? No, that's his prerogative. He should have been able to make that decision without as much criticism as he took. Did it hurt the team? Absolutely. I also want to say this. Ben Simmons, this trade happened when? In February, correct? Mm-hmm. Obviously, at the deadline. Why hasn't this guy played? What's going on? No game 4 for Ben Simmons? Come on, Coach Nash. You got to do better than that. You traded James Harden. If you keep James Harden, they're not able to double team Durant. That takes some pressure off of Kyrie Irving. You can have a lot of fun with the rotations. You can bring James Harden in at point guard, give Kyrie a breather, and vice versa. Why? What's going on? Steve Nash is out of there. He's gone. Ben Simmons, you got to step up, man. You need to go see a chiropractor. Go get somebody to give you a massage. You got to try. You've gone a whole season without playing, my guy. You threw a big tantrum. They got you out of there. You lost an awful lot of money. More money than people will see in a lifetime. Because you got in your feelings about your play and last year's playoff exit. All you had to do was go in the gym, get with a shooting coach, get with the guys, find a mentor, find somebody who's retired. Go call Reggie Miller, somebody. Go call Ray Allen. You don't even have to shoot the 3. Just develop a decent minimum range, mid-range jumper. That's all you got to do. You're going to let your team go down like this, man? This is a movie, man. The Titanic, the ship is going down, man. Let's get it together. And that ends my rant. On to the sneaker news. I'm out and about yesterday. I'm getting text messages from Matt about Luka's shoe. I saw the picture. I was like, wow. In my honest opinion, Luka should have got a shoe before Zion Williamson ever did. He's been more consistent. He won Rookie of the Year. He's got the swagger. I think he's marketable. You know, I don't know about his English. His English might be choppy, but, to be in a commercial, you don't have to say much. So I saw the whole description of the shoe. And from a performance standpoint, I think it's going to be a great shoe if you're this type of player. They have used technology from previous Jordan models. They took a what's called a flight plate that was used in the Jordan 18. And they also used another plate called the Eclipse plate that was used in the Jordan 34. And what these do combine is they help secure the foot for forward and backward motion. If you watch him play, he likes to do a lot of step backs. He likes to do a lot of hesitations and and stutter steps. So I would imagine that this shoe would be perfect for him. Also, they made it very lightweight for his lateral movement and for him to successfully get off his Euro steps. Another hot shoe that everybody's been talking about. We probably won't see much more of this shoe, after tomorrow, is the KD 15. It's supposed to release this month. It's said to release this month. It really reminds me of like a Nike Presto. And also this shoe from the 90s that a lot of NBA players were wearing. Nike every year, they have a shoe that they give out to different players until they get their signature model, or if it's for a player that's not big enough, maybe not an all-star, but still a good enough player to show off the brand. This shoe in the late 90s was called the Nike Air Flight Max. And I don't know if y'all remember this, but if you Google it, you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. And it gives me those kind of vibes. It really has like a throwback vibe. So I doubt that we'll be seeing it much more in action on the court. But from my personal experience with Kevin Durant's shoes, they're pretty secure. I find that the newer Nike performance shoes tend to be a little tight in the toe area. But Coach Matt told me, hey, bro, these are shoes now that you really, really, really have to break in. But once you break them in and get adjusted to the feel of it, they're great performance shoes. And that ends sneaker news.
Awesome. Thank you, Rad, for that rant. Sorry, I disappeared for a sec, but I'm back. And I want to thank everyone for listening to this episode of the Loop City. Want to shout out everyone on the pod. Want to shout out Gonzo, Coach Matt, Pistol Pete Toll, and of course Rad Remm. Be sure to follow us, like and subscribe. You can find the Loop City Podcast on YouTube. Also, you can find Loop City on Twitter. Be sure to retweet, follow, tell your friends about it, and we are out.